How many times have you tried to solve a situation with force, only to end up further from your goal? What if I told you there's a way to act so cleverly, so intelligently, that you can achieve what you want without lifting a finger? What we're going to explore today could be the difference between frustration and fulfillment. If you think the only way to win is by fighting to the end, just wait until you discover the power of acting with wisdom. Get ready to understand how, instead of forcing the situation, you can achieve victory in a much smarter way. There are times in life when we get into a fight and don't even know why anymore. We just feel like we need to win. The lion and the wild boar were there, by the stream, competing over who would drink first. Neither of them gave in. Pure pride. It's curious how, in real life, this happens in the smallest things. Who's right in a silly argument, who's in charge in a team, who has the last word at home. And the worst part? The more you insist, the more you wear yourself out. The dispute becomes about ego, not purpose. And in this, time, energy, and often what truly matters is lost. When the ego isn't well taken care of, it turns coexistence into a battlefield. Instead of collaboration, there's competition. Instead of partnership, there's vanity. When the lion and the wild boar stopped to observe the vultures circling overhead, they realized that the enemy wasn't the other, it was the blindness of their own pride. And how many times do we only realize the foolishness of our actions when we're about to lose everything? This is where the ability to see beyond the moment comes in, to look at the whole picture, to understand the impact. To apply this in life, it's essential to develop a more empathetic ear. For example, when entering a discussion, instead of thinking about what you're going to say, try to understand what the other person is trying to convey. Take a breath before replying. Ask yourself, will this argument change something real in my life, or just inflate my ego for 10 minutes? Sometimes, a simple "okay, you might be right" can disarm entire wars. And it creates space for something far more valuable, reconnection. Of course, pride will still want to interfere. It's loud, impatient, and wants victory at all costs. But if the lion, king of the jungle, knew how to stop and think, so can you. Maybe the next time you feel the urge to retort, prove a point, or fight over emotional territory, you'll remember the lion and the wild boar. And choose not to react, but to reflect. Because true power isn't in defeating the other, but in mastering yourself. Sometimes, we need something from the outside to realize what's already wrong inside. It was only when the lion and the wild boar saw the vultures circling that they understood. While they were fighting, someone up there was waiting to devour the body of whoever fell. Strong, right? And this is a huge reflection of human relationships. Many times, we clash with those we should be walking alongside, while life, relentless, waits for a mistake to tighten the noose. There are things that only a shock reveals, and truths that only appear when the threat is real. This kind of distraction is common. Couples attacking each other until a financial crisis or illness shows them they needed each other, not more arguments. Business partners fighting over decisions until the market turns and forces them to unite to save the business. It's as if life says, you can lose everything due to pride or gain everything through awareness. And the craziest part? That awareness is often there, but buried beneath anger, the desire for control, the stubbornness of needing to be right. Then comes the vulture, the loss, the shock, the unexpected, and everything changes. There's a saying, some people only wake up when they hear the sound of their fall. And unfortunately, it's true. The lion only realized the danger when he looked up. The wild boar only stepped back when he smelled death in the air. The external alert forced an internal pause. Now think, what are you ignoring that you'll only realize when it's too late? A friendship slowly breaking apart? A child you're not really listening to? A project you're letting die just out of stubbornness? Sometimes, the vulture isn't in the sky. It's inside us, circling what we pretend we don't see. To avoid this, the secret is to develop presence and listening. Simple but powerful. A practical exercise? Choose one of your tense relationships today. Instead of waiting for a conflict or a blow, anticipate a gesture of peace. It could be a message, a light conversation, a listening ear without judgment. Show that you're paying attention before life forces you to be. When we act with awareness, the vultures don't even come close. They only circle where there's abandoned emotional flesh. And let's be honest, there's always something trying to test you. It may not be a literal vulture, but it's a distraction, a trap, a challenge. The question is, will you notice in time, or will you need to break in order to wake up? The lion and the wild boar made their decision together. Because when the true enemy appears, you realize that unity is more valuable than ego. But does everyone need to reach this point to see? In the heat of battle, it's easy to want to win at all costs. But true victory, many times, is choosing wisdom. The lion, who could have crushed with a single blow, took a step back. The wild boar, who was ready to charge with his sharp tusks, also retreated. Not out of fear, but because they realized continuing was useless and dangerous. That's emotional maturity. It's when you understand that winning a fight can cost much more than it seems. In human relationships, this translates to knowing when to stop arguing, when not to need the last word, when to choose peace over pride. In practice, this means being strategic. Being wise isn't being passive. It's knowing when to speak, when to be silent, when to yield, and when to stand firm. Want an example? Instead of retaliating immediately, try saying, "I'll think about what you said." It seems simple, but it changes the game. It shows that you're in control, that you're not just reacting, but building. Wisdom lies in the details. And often, the one who seems to yield is the one guiding the course of the conversation. It's like a chess master giving up a small piece to protect the king. This fable teaches us that giving up a confrontation is not weakness. It's intelligence. It's as if the two animals understood, in the silence of that exchanged glance, that continuing would be foolish. That stopping was the true act of courage. Because courage isn't just going forward. Courage is also recognizing when something has already given all it had to give. In the world of human relationships, this skill is worth its weight in gold. Knowing how to walk away from a fight without being hurt is an art that few master. Deciding with awareness is like throwing a stone into a calm lake. The impact may seem small, but the ripples spread far. When the lion and the wild boar stepped away without fighting, they didn't just avoid conflict. They also planted a seed of transformation. Because every decision made with wisdom reverberates in emotions, both your own and those around you. Anyone who's lived through a troubled relationship knows, sometimes, the best thing you can do is choose to step out of the toxic dynamic, even if your urge is to resolve everything right there, right then. Inner peace begins when you understand that the most powerful response is self-control. And there's no way around it. Conscious decisions always shake us up. They take us out of autopilot. It's like looking in the mirror and saying, "Enough. I choose differently now." And that hurts. It hurts because it requires breaking patterns, stepping away from impulse, letting go of ego. But that pain is the beginning of healing. In the case of the fable, the lion didn't need to win, and the wild boar didn't need to prove strength. They just needed to free themselves from the illusion that fighting was the only way out. How many times do we get stuck in that illusion too? So, the big turnaround isn't just about what you do, but how you feel afterward. The feeling of acting with awareness is liberating. It lifts a weight off your shoulders. It gives that quiet relief of someone who knows they did the right thing, even when no one saw it. And that, my friend, is worth more than 1,000 applause. Because awareness is a companion that never abandons you. It watches over you, guides you, and most importantly, rewards you with peace. Not the peace of someone who ran away, but the peace of someone who conquered their own ego. And here's the challenge. Could it be that what you call giving up is actually the next right step? Because deep down, it takes more courage to step back with wisdom than to charge forward in impulse. And when you begin to see the value in this, a new way of acting begins to take shape. Amid the confusion of the dispute, the lion and the wild boar opened their eyes. Not because someone shouted louder, but because silence, that which comes from a conscious pause, revealed what words could not. The fable is clear. It was only when they stopped to observe what was around them that they understood the absurdity of the situation. They were fighting for something that was being wasted precisely because of the fight. And how many times in real life do we find ourselves like that? arguing, insisting, exhausting ourselves, without realizing that what really matters is slipping through our fingers. Some people live trapped in automatic reaction mode. Any sideways glance becomes a reason for confrontation. But in this rhythm, no one sees anything. When the noise takes over, vision becomes blurry. The mind grows foggy, the heart becomes anxious, and everything that could be resolved with a more attentive look turns into a battle. This is where the power of observation comes in, a skill we greatly underestimate. Observing calmly, truly listening, feeling the atmosphere, that changes everything. It's like turning on the light in a dark room. Suddenly, you see what's been there all along. Life shows us signs all the time. A cross conversation hiding a cry for help. A repetitive behavior revealing an unspoken insecurity. A prolonged silence that's actually a muffled scream. But to see these details, you must silence the ego. Yes, that impulse to always want to be right. Because when the ego speaks loudly, the soul remains silent. And the truth? It lies in what's unsaid. Just like in the fable, the danger wasn't in the other animal. It was in the distraction. That's why it's necessary to cultivate this habit. Before reacting, observe. Before judging, observe. Before deciding, observe. Want a practical exercise? In the next few days, choose 3 situations where you would normally react impulsively. It could be in traffic, a work discussion, or even at home with someone you love. And instead of reacting, stop. Breathe. Observe. Write down what you noticed. This simple act starts to sharpen the eye of awareness. The greatest decisions in life aren't made amid shouting, but in the silence of someone who has learned to listen to what the eyes cannot see. And when you begin to act this way, everything around you changes. People listen to you more. Problems decrease. And your clarity becomes your superpower. When the lion and the wild boar faced each other for the last time, with the murky water between them, something interesting happened. Instead of continuing to fight, the lion made a different decision. He realized that, to achieve what he really wanted, the clear water, a new path, a new behavior was necessary. He didn't use brute force, didn't use shouts or demands. He used the wisdom to stop, reflect, and act with intelligence. That was the true turning point, the moment when strategy took the place of force. Acting with wisdom as opposed to impulse means giving space for reflection before responding, for observation before reacting. Sometimes, a 10-second pause, a simple sigh, can change the course of a conversation. And yes, it's hard. Our impulses are strong, that's true. But when we learn to recognize these moments, we can tame the impulse and act with more wisdom. Now that you've seen the power of acting with intelligence and wisdom, it's time to apply this knowledge in your own life. Small changes in approach could be the key to achieving what you want, whether in relationships, career, or even in your personal growth. Don't forget, brute force may work for a while, but it's strategy and subtlety that, in the end, will lead you to victory. If you really want to transform your situations and achieve results you never imagined, the first step is to start changing how you act in the face of challenges. Don't wait any longer. Apply the lessons we discussed here and watch the change happen. If you enjoyed this video and want more content like this, don't miss the opportunity to subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications to make sure you never miss a new video full of insights and powerful strategies. And remember, transformation starts with a choice. The choice to act differently. Let's go together on this journey.